Hello and welcome to another episode on the Public Global. I'm Ajay Prakash. It's been over a month that Donald Trump has been in office, and what a busy month it has been for the President of the United States. In my memory of the US presidents, starting from Jimmy Carter, Ronald Reagan, George W. Bush, Bill Clinton, I have never really seen such kind of hyperactivity in the Oval Office. The immediate goals of Donald Trump are now very clear. These were his election promises. He is getting all the illegal immigrants out of the country. There is no negotiation on that, and he will send them back to their respective countries in the manner that he wants to. Secondly, he has inherited a huge deficit. US keeps borrowing money and the interest payments are rising. Trump thinks the time has come to put the American economy back on its rails. He has his plans worked out. He wants to cut the trade deficit. He wants to cut the unnecessary spending within the US government. He has his task really cut out. If you are following Donald Trump, you might think that he is targeting only a few countries when it comes to imposing trade tariffs. These are Canada, Mexico, China, and to a lesser extent, probably India as well. It's not that the Trump administration doesn't know what effect these tariffs will have within North America or within the US. Tariffs on Mexico and Canada will take a toll on the North American economy with the automotive sector, which is going to be hit really hard. And the 10% tariffs on Chinese goods, which took effect on February 4th, 2025, attracted retaliatory measures from Beijing. Chinese goods have already been subjected to previous tariffs starting in Trump's first term between 2017 and 2021. Trump has taken a big gamble here. He thinks that by imposing tariffs on imported goods, the exporting country would then follow up and reduce their own tariffs for US goods, which means that the US goods will have a wider export market at cheaper values, thus increasing the US exports and decreasing the trade deficit. But so far, these countries have not bent before Trump. Well, not all of them, except probably India, who unilaterally reduced the import duties on automobiles from 100% down to 15%. So, at least in India, you will start seeing the import of US automobiles and especially Tesla cars from Elon Musk. While the intent of Donald Trump may seem very good, the manner in which he is going around might be ruffling up a few feathers. Take the example of Elon Musk, who was made the head of the Department of Government Efficiency. Over the last weekend, Elon Musk sent out an email to all federal employees asking them to report what they did in the last 5 days, and if they don't respond, it will be treated as their resignation. Several departments pushed back this order, including the FBI head, the Donald Trump appointee Kash Patel. I don't think Elon Musk expected that employees won't listen to him. After all, he was appointed by the big man. Rather sheepishly, he admitted that he never wanted to know what the people are doing. Rather, he wanted to test whether federal employees are capable of replying to an email. And if you think that Elon Musk is quite efficient as a corporate head, just remember he is the guy who bought Twitter at $44 billion, and today the value of X is only $9 billion. In today's episode, I'm going to show you some data where we'll try to understand why Trump is doing what he's doing. The graph here shows the US exports and imports. Exports are shown in blue color while the imports in red color. After the pandemic in 2020, the imports grew at a faster pace when compared to the exports. But before that, almost for a 10-year period, the imports and exports had stabilized. It was also quite evident that the US trade deficit, which was around 700 to 800 billion dollars during the period 2010 to 2020, started to grow much faster after 2020. When Trump came in 2024, the trade deficit of United States is 1.2 trillion dollars. Take a moment and observe this table. This shows how heavily a country is dependent on US with its trade. Canada does 61% of its total trade with United States. China does only 11%. India only 11%. And Mexico again 62% of its trade is with a single country, that's US. Germany 9% and UK 12%. So Trump thought that since Canada and Mexico are heavily dependent upon US, and if he puts pressure on them by increasing the tariff, they would succumb to the pressure far easily than a country like China or India, which is not so much dependent upon the United States. The adjacent column here shows the trade balance with US in billion dollars. Canada has a trade surplus of 141 billion dollars, China 282 billion, India 44 billion, Mexico 213 billion, while Germany 62 billion. United Kingdom is only one country which has a trade deficit with the US. So, barring the United Kingdom, all other countries are good candidates for Trump to exert his pressure by increasing the tariffs of imported goods. Trump has picked Canada, China, and Mexico already, India to a lesser extent, and the next in line would be European countries such as Germany. And while all this is happening, India can't do much on its own except to look nervously at Trump as he wields the tariff threat. We might soon see the re entry, rather, of Harley Davidson bikes in India, where the tariff structure or the import duty structures, as we call it, has been reduced from 50% to 30% in some cases, and in other cases, 50% to 40%. And the massive duty cuts by India on electric vehicle is sure going to please Elon Musk. He's already established offices in India, and I am sure within the next few months you would see Tesla cars running on Indian roads. It's not that India is doing so only on the economic front. On the foreign policy front, India leaves much to be desired. There was not even a whimper of a protest from S. Jaishankar and neither from Modi when Indian illegal migrants to US were sent back to India chained and handcuffed. We don't have a full-fledged embassy in Costa Rica. We only have a resident honorary consul of India in San Jose, Costa Rica. Of late, United States has started using the services of neighboring countries to hold the illegal migrants in temporary accommodation. Some Indians, as the reports go, have been sent to Costa Rica, which is a Spanish speaking country. The fate of these Indians is not quite clear, and no one knows when they will be sent home. And if you thought our embassy over there would be keeping track of these illegal migrants who are sent to Costa Rica, well, I tried to see the website of our embassy over there. This is the website Embassy of India, Republic of Panama, Costa Rica, and Nicaragua. Our ambassador there is Dr. Sumit Seth. There is no information about illegal migrants anywhere in this website. The first page only highlights what our ambassador has been doing there, meeting people. And on the trade front with the US, as we keep bending back and back, a statement by the Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal is rather frightening. He says that there is a proposed India US trade pact which will be announced soon, which will be the mother of all deals. He further says that this deal will provide huge opportunities for Indians and Americans to work together. We are waiting with bated breath to find out the details of this deal. Let's see how Canada and Mexico have reacted to Trump's trade war so far. The Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum on Saturday ordered retaliatory tariffs in response to the US decision to slap 25% tariffs on all goods coming from Mexico as the trade war broke out between the two neighbors. Justin Trudeau of Canada did a similar thing. He too announced a reciprocal tariff of 25% on all goods coming into Canada from the United States. The Trump administration was not really prepared for this action on part of Canada and Mexico. They immediately withdrew the order of on tariffs and postponed it for a period of 30 days, which gives them time to renegotiate with these countries. There was no negotiation, or rather renegotiation, with China. Both sides have implemented 10% additional tariffs, which only mean that people, or rather consumers within the US, are now going to pay an extra 10% for the Chinese goods that have flooded their markets. There still has been one major success for Trump. He has managed to get Canada and Mexico to the negotiating table to discuss how they will stop illegal migrants coming into US from their respective countries. He is securing a commitment from Canada for a $1.3 billion border plan and from Mexico to deploy additional 10,000 National Guards to seal the borders. Trump may be having a dual strategy in mind when he talks about tariffs. Firstly, he wants greater access to American goods, especially with those countries who have had a massive trade barrier against America and thereby profiteering from American trade. Secondly, he might be using trade as a handle to negotiate a few more things, as we have seen in the case of Canada and Mexico. I don't think that Trump can afford to increase tariffs and thereby disturbing the American economy within the country. As prices go up in the supermarkets, the people are sure going to come out against him. Though the GDP per capita GDP of America may seem very high, about $82,700, but the fact is that the median income in US is only $39,982. The household median income is around $78,500, which means half of American population lives below this threshold. If there is disparity in India, so is there disparity in US, though not to the same extent. In 2021, top 1% of households made more than 6 times as much as the bottom 20%, while the top 10% household held more than two-thirds of the national wealth, and the bottom 50% of households held less than 4% of the national wealth. So, because of Trump's policies, if inflation within the country increases, the bottom 50% of US is going to be out on the streets. And Trump definitely won't like that. So, I don't think he's really going to press for very high tariffs against these countries. And for us here in India, Donald Trump really means business. He has said many times that India should get ready for reciprocal tariffs. In fact, he says, I'm getting ready to do it. And if you thought that India is going to stand up against this bulldozing or bullying by Donald Trump, well, our foreign minister had only this thing to say: nationalists respect each other. Jaishankar on Prime Minister and Trump bonhomie. Thank you for watching. I'll see you again next week.